there, welcome back. How are you today? So talking about the beautiful experiences that shape our lives. They're like the colors, that we have on our palette to paint this beautiful masterpiece that we call our life, And for those that felt upset in the early videos when I was talking about my mum and the experiences I've had, I hope by this stage that you understand that it's not about their behavior that we're here to talk about, but you can't explain an experience halfway through. Like, I can't explain the abuse without going through what the abuse was, So to get to the other side of it. So it's not about, my mum did exactly what she needed to do. This is the other thing too, if you understand about soul contracts. I asked my mum to do all of these things for me. I asked my mum to behave in this way before we came into this lifetime. This was the experience I came to have. So nothing about what she did is bad. Nothing about what she did is negative. It was exactly what I needed for my journey, for my path. It was what my soul came here to experience. Now, this becomes more clear the moment you realize that you're not just here. Now, this might blow a few minds. You might want to sit for this one. This was a huge realization for me. You're not just here to be happy all the time. You're not just here. When I say here, in this lifetime, on this planet, in this body, in this physical body, you're not here to be at peace 24/7. You're not here to be happy every minute of every day. You're not here to be in bliss every moment until the moment that you leave this existence. And when you get that, when you truly get that, that's the moment you realize how beautiful life really is. There's nothing to fix, there's nothing to change. I hear so many people talking about changing the world, fixing. Why is there still war? I've been hearing about war since I was little on the news. Why does it not stop? Why does it continue? The starving children in the world, the poverty. Again, I've been hearing about that since I was so little, asking my dad, why can't we send them the food? There's so much food left over that we do not eat. So much. Why can't we just send them the food? Questions as a 7-year-old, as an 8-year-old. What is wrong with this world that we can't just send them the stuff when we have so much of it here? Do you ever stop to think, why have none of these things changed? Why are they still here? Why are there still wars in the world? Why is there still famine in the world? Why is there still poverty in the world? Why is there still abuse in the world? Why are children still being abused by their parents, by their guardians, by the people that raise them? Why are children still being neglected by the people that raise them? Why? And if you understand truly know within your heart, not just an logical understanding of, oh yeah, it makes sense. No, but there's a knowing within your heart that you are here to have a human experience. Human. You are spirit in human form. Let that sink in for a moment. Why this human form? Why bother coming in at all? Why are we here? If the purpose is to get to the point where you are in nirvana, you are in peace and joy and love and everything is 100% perfect, what is the point? You realize as spirit, when you're not in this physical form, you are all of that. You never stop being that. It's not because you're in this physical form that you're not peace, you're not joy, you're not abundance. You're not love. You never stop being those things. But we choose, when we are here in this human form, we choose from the infinite possibilities. Okay, I am all those things, but what's it like to feel jealous? So jealous that you would kill someone. That's how my story began. I found out just a few years ago. That's where my story began. My grandmother was going to leave my grandfather, and in a fit of jealousy, of rage, that no, she could not be with another man, he stabbed her in the heart. He killed her, leaving my mother, my aunt, all of her siblings without parents, because of course he went to jail. What does it feel like to be so full of rage, so full of jealousy that no, you cannot be with another man, with another person that isn't me, that you would take that person's life? And now the part that's going to bake a lot of noodles. Are you ready for it? My grandmother's soul already had a contract with my grandfather's soul that this is how she would go. This was the experience she came to have. And that this experience was going to shape generations to come. Because what happened with that experience? Then, the shame. My mother, her sister, all the siblings grew up with this shame of what their father had done. They had to go live with an aunt. And they all got separated. This was the funny thing. I found out later, my grandfather, this grandfather, was my grandmother's second husband. He wasn't even the first, because I could never for the life of me understand why the eldest aunt that I have is blonde, blue-eyed, fair-skinned, beautiful. She has a beautiful singing voice, beautiful. My mum and the sibling that the two younger ones, dark-skinned, dark hair, dark brown eyes. Because my grandfather was Turkish. And so we have beautiful olive skin. I know now it's winter, I'm quite pale. But in the summertime, I go, quite brown. And when I was little and I was always in the sun, I was very dark, very dark. And even in the winter, I'd be sitting in the sun because I love the sun so much. But my skin tends to go a beautiful olive brown color. Olive brown, is that a... it's like a caramel brown. It's really pretty. I love it. But then when I found out the story, it made sense that my first aunt is blonde and blue-eyed and fair-skinned and totally different to my mum and her sibling. They're only 2 years apart, the younger two, but they were from the same dad. And my grandmother, who knows why, was looking to move on to the third. Who knows why? Who knows why these things happen, you know? That's what I've uncovered in the last few years. But I also know, because I have spoken to her, that she was willing to come and have that experience so that we, my mum, all her siblings, and all the generations to come after, all the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, would have this experience of shame. You know, for the longest time, I couldn't wait to get married to change my surname because I was so ashamed and I didn't know why. I loved my parents, but for the life of me, I had this shame within myself that I didn't know where it came from. Why do I feel ashamed of my surname? Why do I feel the need that I have to change it as soon as possible? And I thought it was because I was embarrassed about the way my parents behaved. You know, every time they'd get offended with someone and stop talking to them, and I'd be sitting there going, why are we not talking to them now? What happened? You know, it's like, I couldn't get my head around, why are we not talking to them? And then there'd be the next one, why are we not talking to them now? Is what happened? And then, you know, they didn't explain anything to me. It was their decision and that was it. All of us were now not talking to them. You know, because if they weren't talking to them, we weren't allowed to talk to them either. You know, me and my sister and I, however that goes. Yeah, if they decided they weren't talking to someone, we just assumed that we weren't allowed to either. You know, because we wouldn't see them anymore. We couldn't go and hang with them anymore. And this happened on and off with my cousins here in, you know, Australia so many times in my childhood. And it never made sense to me. Because it's so easy to say, I'm sorry and be done with it. And just, I'm sure they didn't mean to. You know, you guys love each other, right? But then I didn't realize until I discovered all of this, I didn't realize that resentment, that anger that they, every so often they get offended with someone and decide they're not talking to that person. It all boils down to that moment, that they can't forgive my grandfather for what he did. And so I find myself all the time forgiving him on behalf of all of us and thanking him. Look at the experience we got to have. The shame, the guilt, the pain, the suffering of having to grow up without parents at the age of 5. That's what happened to my mum. But at the same time, the moment her parents were taken away, she got to see Mother Mary with her physical eyes. I grew up with this story. She got to see Mother Mary. Can you imagine? I know she was in so much pain and she was suffering and she was crying at the time because she missed her mum so much at the age of 5. But for Mother Mary to just appear, can you imagine what a blessing? So our soul chooses all these experiences, and that's why the world, it doesn't change, because we're not done with those experiences yet. We haven't extracted everything that we needed to extract from those experiences yet. When the soul is done, then those experiences are no longer necessary. I know, because that's what happened to me. When I understood, when I realized, when I was done, I no longer needed to yell at my daughter anymore. She was 4 the last time I yelled at her. When I understood why I was doing it, when I understood the anger behind it, the frustration behind it, the experience was no longer necessary. It was done. But for an experience to be complete, and we're going to need to talk about this in the next video because that's going to go for a while. So let's do that in the next video to get more clarity. When is an experience complete? When are we done with it? And it has nothing to do with you as a human saying right now, I am done with it. You'll know when you're done with it. Here's an example. Say you've been a smoker for the past 30 years. You smoke cigarettes every day, packets, 2 packets a day or 1 packet a day or whatever it is for you. Because there are still people smoking out there in the world. When are you done with it? When do you stop smoking? When you are done with it. When you've had enough. That's when you're done with it. One morning you just wake up and you know within every cell in your being, within every fiber of your being, you know what? I've extracted everything I need to extract from this. I don't need to do it anymore. I am done. I have had enough. I know that's been me a few times. I gave up smoking when I was in my 20s. I tried drinking, but it didn't agree with me. So I did that for a couple of years, but I had enough of that pretty quick because I was always sick, always vomiting, always, it just didn't agree with me at all. So when you're done feeling the way it makes you feel. You know, we struggled with financial hardship most of my adult life. When did it stop? When I was done feeling that way. I was done feeling that way. I was done with the banks calling that the mortgage was overdue. I was done with that feeling of not being able to sleep at night. Because how am I going to pay for that next bill? Where am I going to get the money from for that next bill? Can't be done. I'd have to call up the electricity, the company, and ask for an extension. Or the rates, or the water, or whatever bill it was. I have to call up and ask for an extension. Heavily in debt. And when I was done with feeling that way, because that was the reason I was always yelling at my daughter, and I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. I went to a financial advisor and I got the help that I needed, the advice that I needed, the guidance that I needed, because I was done. I had had enough. So today, this is the question for you. Have you had enough of whatever it is? Only you know what that is for you. Have you had enough? Are you done with that experience that you want to move on to something new? It's neither good nor bad. It's just the experience you're having. When you learn to look at it that way, then it's all good. I mean, what are you waiting for? You know, for those who do smoke cigarettes, are you waiting for the doctor to tell you have lung cancer? For those who do drink alcohol in excess, are you waiting for the doctor to tell you you have cirrhosis of the liver, you have 6 months to live? And then what? If the doctor told you you had 6 months because you've got cancer, or you've got 6 months because you've got cirrhosis of the liver and your liver's done with how you've been treating it, then is a good time to quit. Or does it just not matter now because, well, that ship has sailed. Might as well finish it off now. When is enough? Only you can know that. All right, my beautiful beings. We love you dearly. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. And we're circling back to, when is an experience complete? Love you dearly. Bye, my darlings.